And wherever you may be.
His iconic voice.
The Portland Trailblazers have won the World Championship.
His laugh.
Bill, what is the secret to your success?
A nice glass of wine.
Oh, I like that.
And his love for Portland and the Blazers.
I've given my life to the Portland Trailblazers, most of my professional life, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Goodbye to the mayor of Rip City, and thank you for the incredible memories.
We'll have different eras throughout the years in the Blazers, but I don't think we'll ever forget this era.
Tonight, Portland says goodbye to legendary Trailblazers broadcaster Bill Schonely. Early Saturday morning, Schonely passed away at the age of 93. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Joe Ranieri. He was an icon, the mayor of Rip City, one of the very first hires of the Blazers organization back in the early 70s. He served as the team's play-by-play voice for nearly 30 years. Even when he was done calling games, he was a fixture at Moda Center, where he served as a team ambassador. Alma McCarty is live at Moda Center tonight with reaction from fans and friends.
Well, hi, Joe. You know, the phrase Rip City means a lot to Portlanders, a lot, of course, to Blazers fans. And today, remembering the life of Bill Schonely, it means even more.
From 15,
From 1970.
The Portland Trailblazers have won the World Championship.
To the present day, his was a voice known well.
Good evening, basketball fans, wherever you may be.
Bill Schonely, the mayor of Rip City, the Shawns, a legend.
I think Bill was the most popular figure ever in the history of the Trailblazers. That's over 50 years. He was there from year one, and he was very proud of that. He was proud of being such a popular voice, not just voice, but figure throughout all that time.
On Saturday, the 93-year-old passed away, as first reported by his friend and biographer, Kerry Eggers.
People remembered him from the days of their childhood. I had so many people come up to me and tell me how often how many warm memories they had of listening to him on the broadcast.
Bill Schonely was born on June 1st, 1929 in Norristown, Pennsylvania. His career in broadcasting began during his time in the Marine Corps while serving in the South Pacific. KGW spoke with Schonely back in 2017.
I started Armed Forces Radio in late 1949, and I've been in the business ever since. And that really whetted my appetite.
Then, in 1970, he got a call from Harry Glickman about his brand new NBA team in Portland. He joined the organization, one of the very first hires. For nearly 30 years, he was a play-by-play announcer, calling over 2,500 games, including the team's championship run in 1977.
There's a bedlam out there. I could hardly see, and I'm darting around and with a headset on, and it was wonderful.
He went on to serve as the team's ambassador, starting in 2003. Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and star player Damian Lillard expressed just how much Schonely meant to the team and to the sport.
Just revered around the league. So it's a sad day, a very sad day for us and this organization, this fan base.
Anybody that knows him knows that he immediately told me that he was the person that came up with Rip City. That was one thing that he owned, and something that he was extremely proud of. A lot of the names that are hanging up, you look at the history of this organization and all the great players that have come through. He wanted that to be known, and he spoke on it very often, and those were the times, where he was probably most into it.
Bill Schonely retired in 2022.
They had a retirement night for him, the last game of the season in April, and while he knew he would get a nice reception, I think he was overwhelmed by the love and respect that he got that night, and I think he would feel obliged to say that he enjoyed the relationship just as much as those fans did over the years.
I have done many events such as this, but always for somebody else. And to have it happen for me, thank you very much.
Now the Blazers play tomorrow at the Moda Center, and we will be there for the tribute. They play against the Lakers, I should also say. So live in North Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Alma, thank you, and again, our condolences to his family and friends, of course, his wife, Dottie, too. Tonight, we also want to share some of your memories of Schonely. Mike Barrick, who you see here, is a former play-by-play announcer for the Blazers, shared this photo of him and Schonely, writing in part, "I was a kid who used to sneak a radio under the covers to listen to the great Bill Schonely. He's not alone. He made me want to be a broadcaster, inspired me, and entertained us all." Viewer Jack sharing this sentiment, calling Schonely the true voice of the Blazers, and Dawn shared another fond memory of meeting Schonely at a restaurant. Finally, we want to share this picture from Kelly, who says it was a privilege to meet Schonely back in 2016. And we're going to continue to honor Bill Schonely's life and legacy throughout our show this evening. If you'd like to see more coverage of him, visit us on our YouTube channel. We have a playlist up now called Remembering Bill Schonely. Well, switching gears, we saw kind of a fun start to your Saturday morning. Some saw some snow, some saw some hail, and others saw some grapple. If you're wondering, what is grapple? It's more of that milky kind of looking, almost hail that falls from the sky. I like to describe it as those Dippin' Dots, those little ice creams you see. They kind of bounce a little bit, and we saw evidence of that throughout much of the metro area. But it was really pretty. Didn't last for too long, and everyone was able to get on with their Saturday after, right?
Yeah. The National Weather Service also describes it as soft hail, but I liked your description too. But yes, this didn't last for very long, and the reason as to why we saw that is because we were flirting with those freezing temperatures right around 32 degrees. But as we're taking a live look outside, 46 degrees, so way above that below freezing temperatures. We're also dealing with a little bit gusty conditions, right around 11-mile-per-hour winds. Checking the rest of those current temperatures right now, we are mostly dealing with those 40s, 39 in Happy Valley, also in Forest Grove. But take a look at this. Looking over into the eastern portion of our state, we are dealing with 20s, Burns, and Baker City as well. Now, these are going to be your weather headlines for these next few days. We are expecting to see some spotty showers for tomorrow. We're also dealing with a winter weather advisory along the Cascades and also a sneaker wave advisory. And after that, we're going to be mostly dry for the rest of the work week. We'll talk more about this and also that 7-day forecast coming up, Joe.
Thanks, Daisy. We're looking forward to your extended forecast in just a few minutes. Well, new tonight, 4 show dogs are missing after a van was stolen outside of a Portland hotel. The van was taken this morning just before 8 o'clock, around 7:45 this morning, from the parking lot of a hotel along North Jansen Drive. Portland police say the van was left running in the lot and someone jumped in and drove off. 4 terriers were in those crates in the van. The dog's owner are visiting from the Seattle area for the Rose City Classic Winter Dog Show. Now, if you see the van, you're asked to call authorities. Here's a look at it. It's a 2020 Mercedes-Benz Metris cargo van, dark blue, and has a temporary tag in the back window. Take a look at this damage from 2-car crash in Clackamas County. It happened last night on Highway 224 in Eagle Creek. Now you can see one car ended up upside down. The other is missing its roof and has considerable damage on its front. Both drivers were taken to the hospital and one is in critical condition tonight. Clackamas fire crews say this is the second major accident in the area in less than 2 weeks. No word on what led up to that crash. Now to an attack at a Gresham Park and why the victim waited an hour and a half for authorities to help her. Police say a man tried to sexually assault a woman before she fought him off. As she called police but ended up waiting on hold. Police say the wait was because the woman called the non-emergency line and unfortunately waiting 90 minutes to get through to police. Portland's Bureau of Emergency Communications tell us it's in a case like this, it would have been more appropriate for the victim to call 911.
If someone is in the act of breaking into a vehicle and they're still at that vehicle trying to break in, you would call 911 because you need to have law enforcement right away. If you find your vehicle broken into many hours later, that would be an example of when to call the non-emergency.
If ever in doubt on what number to call during an emergency, BOEC says call 911. A dispatcher can then reroute you to the non-emergency line if your call can wait. Multnomah County District Attorney Mike Schmidt plans to run for a second term in 2024. Schmidt confirmed his plans in an email to the Willamette Week. He was first selected in 2020. Schmidt promised to reform the criminal justice system, but it hasn't been easy for him. He's faced criticism that his policies have led to an increase in crime in Portland. Now let's take a look at your national headlines tonight. December saw a record number of illegal crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border, the highest of any month during Joe Biden's presidency. Customs and Border Protection said more than 250,000 migrants were stopped along the Mexican border in December. Now that's a 7% increase compared to the month before and up 40% from that time last year. The surge in border crossings came before President Biden introduced measures on January 5th restricting asylum for migrants from certain countries. Now, the Biden administration said the U.S. would admit up to 30,000 migrants a month if they apply online, pay airfare, and find a financial sponsor. The Department of Justice is investigating Abbott Laboratories. The Wall Street Journal reports the investigation is related to the company's manufacturing of infant formula. You might remember this story from last year. Abbott voluntarily shut down production of its infant formula manufacturing plant in Michigan last February. Now, after infants started getting sick, the FDA says this happened because bacteria was found in the plant. The shutdown contributed to a nationwide infant formula shortage. Google parent company Alphabet is now the latest tech company to slash its workforce, announcing cuts on Friday. Other tech giants, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, also plan to lay off thousands of workers. Right now, the national unemployment rate is low at 3.5%, but the Fed expects that rate to rise to go up this year as it raises interest rates. That could mean 1.8 million more Americans losing their jobs. And those are a look at your national headlines. Coming up at 5, the Lunar New Year kicks off this weekend. After the break, we're heading to a celebration in the Rose City. And later, good news from the Oregon Zoo. A tiger there is healthy again after getting sick last year. The partnership that helps get her better. Lansu Chinese Garden in Portland's Old Town is celebrating the Lunar New Year today. This year's Lunar New Year celebration runs for 16 days and will last until Sunday, February 5th. It's the year of the rabbit, which officially begins tomorrow. But Lansu Chinese Garden started celebrating Lunar New Year's Eve today with a slew of activities, including a traditional lion dance. The garden is located on Northwest Everett between 2nd and 3rd. For more information, visit lansugarden.org. Well, if you'd like to know more about other local celebrations, head to our website. We have an article up right now at kgw.com with all the details for several events happening in and around the Rose City. You'll find that story under our featured section. A much-loved tiger at the Oregon Zoo is back to good health tonight, but she was showing some very concerning signs of illness last year. That required a trip to Corvallis to get checked out. Tim Gordon reports on the veterinary partnership that helped Bernadette get better.
This is a 6-year-old Amur tiger named Bernadette, or Bernie for short, that lives at the Oregon Zoo. The beautiful creature is doing much better now, but last summer she was showing troubling signs, including a seizure that temporarily stopped her breathing. She needed an MRI, and the best place to do that was at Oregon State University.
We are colleagues, we're friends, we talk very openly, so we start talking to them and say, although the traveling time is longer than taking her here in Portland, we felt that we could accomplish more.
Carlos Sanchez is the head veterinarian at the Oregon Zoo. He says what they accomplished was quite a feat, transporting a 270-pound tiger in a crate to OSU's Carlson College of Veterinary Medicine. It took a team effort to safely do the MRI and gather spinal fluid to diagnose what caused the big cat to have the seizure.
The maintenance team that helped us to put him on the crate, the OSU team, the veterinary team, the keeper, everybody had to chime in. Safety, everybody had to chime in to have this done properly.
In the end, vets found some small lesions on Bernie's brain, but nothing to indicate an ongoing problem. So back to the zoo she came, a little grumpy.
But she came back. She was pretty angry by the time we got back. She just wanted to be alone and eating, which is we did. They put him on her area. But she recovered really well from anesthesia.
Now, months later, they monitor her closely, but have been able to back off anti-seizure medication. And all is well, after giving everyone a scare.
It's part of the job. We love it. We invite people to come visit Bernie. She is a happy cat.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Oh, I'm glad to see Bernie's feeling better. Still ahead tonight, we're remembering the voice of the Trailblazers, Bill Schonely. He passed away earlier this morning. We'll talk about his impact on the sports and the Blazer fans. Welcome back, and joining me tonight is Daisy Caballero to talk about our weekend forecast. And there's been some highs and lows. We saw the highs, I'd say, was the grapple, the snow showers, and a little bit of that hail we saw this morning. And then, I wouldn't say it a low, but we saw a little more of the sunshine earlier today.
Yes, we saw a little bit of everything from, like you said, the grapple to clear skies, and now a beautiful sunset If we take a look, oh my goodness, I would love to be there. That sun is barely setting right now, 47 degrees. It is pretty windy though, right around 21 mile-per-hour winds coming out from the west. Now, if you're planning to go out to the coast, make sure to just stay very vigilant because sneaker waves are a pretty big possibility according to the National Weather Service. Another advisory that I like to let you know is we're under a winter weather advisory along the Cascades. So this is already in effect, went into effect early this morning and will last until tomorrow, right around 4 o'clock in the morning. We are expecting to see anywhere between 4 to 6 inches of snow above 3,000 feet of elevation. And we're also unfortunately going to expect to see wind gusts of up to 45 miles per hour. Now, taking a live look at our satellite and radar, we're actually not going to see any more of that rain, not until this system makes landfall a little bit later into the evening or tomorrow morning. But this is that system that brought in that grapple that we were talking about, that soft hail that the National Weather Service told us about, tweeted about it. It was my first time kind of hearing about it, so it was kind of neat to see also. But looking at the rest of our evening tonight, we are expecting to see maybe a little bit more of those showers, more of that mountain snow also into those higher elevations. But as we're looking at tomorrow, again, spotty showers are a possibility. Other than that, we're just going to be dealing with cloudy conditions, and then we'll be able to see a little bit more of that sunshine into the second half of our Sunday. But into Monday, we'll just re-welcome more of those cloudy conditions that we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the week. Looking at those current temperatures right now, again, many of us are in those 40s, 45 degrees for the Portland Metro, 44 for McMinnville, 45 for Salem. But go ahead and take a look at this. Looking at Timberline, they're dealing with 22 degrees. They saw that snowfall much of today and obviously stopped, but it was there. But as we're looking over into the second half of tomorrow, right around 10 o'clock on Sunday, we are expecting to see upwards to 7 inches of snow over in that area. But looking at that Cascade forecast, again, we're expecting to see those below freezing temperatures for Government Camp Timberline, also for Mount Hood. So expect those conditions if you are going to be traveling in or out of that area. The coast, again, that sneaker wave advisory, be very, very vigilant. Do not put your back to the ocean because those sneaker waves can obviously, like it says in the name, sneak up on you. But this is going to be that 7-day forecast. Again, possibility for some spotty showers. Other than that, Monday all the way into Saturday, Joe, we're going to be in somewhat of a dry spell.
Daisy, do I spy with my eyes 6 days in a row with no rain in the forecast?
No rain, Joe. Yeah, somewhat of a dry spell.
Hopefully we just bump up those temperatures a little bit, but it's nice to see a little bit of a dry streak. Thanks, Daisy. Well, tonight, Rip City is mourning the loss of Bill Schonely. The Hall of Fame broadcaster passed away today. He was 93 years old. After the break, we're honoring his legacy.
Wherever you may be, it's a somber day in Rip City, mourning the loss of a legend. Bill Schonely passed away at the age of 93. And while he never stepped on the court as a player, he's one of the greatest Portland Trailblazers of all time. The voice, who provided the soundtrack to some of the greatest moments and brought joy to so many. With his iconic catchphrases, some we still use to this day, like "You got to make your free throws." And of course, Rip City. Two words that became synonymous with not only the Blazers, but an entire city. Schonely was the connective tissue from the team to the fans. In total, he spent nearly a half-century serving as broadcaster and then ambassador for the team. But he'll be a Trailblazer forever. The franchise's all-time leading scorer, Damian Lillard, reflects on the love Sean's had for Rip City.
He just embraced every part of it, you know. He loved being a part of the city and being a part of this organization. And not a lot of people have that type of mentality, you know, especially where we are now. People, organization to organization, you know, nobody's tied in one place. And I think it really just shows how much it meant to him. You know, he's connected with fans. He's out in the community. He's coming to games, you know. No matter how he was feeling personally, he's still showing up to games.
Schonely received the Kurt Gowdy Media Award from the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame and was elected to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. Before his broadcasting career, he served in the Marine Corps. Schonely is survived by his wife Dottie, 3 children, and 7 grandchildren. The Blazers play tomorrow night at Moda Center, and while there's no official word yet, it's likely they'll honor him at the arena. There's no easy way to segue into sports, but there are games tonight involving many of our local college teams, including the Oregon Ducks, who visit Stanford tonight at 8 o'clock. The Ducks are coming off back-to-back victories and need as many of those W's as they can get after a rough start to conference play. We'll break it all down tonight at 11. You saw it right here on KGW. Playoffs! AFC divisional round, the Jaguars taking on the Chiefs. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes, he suffered an ankle injury. He was hobbled, but battled through the pain, basically playing on one leg here, and got the job done. Kansas City advances to the AFC Championship game for the 5th straight time. Defeating Jacksonville 27-20, the Chiefs get the winner of tomorrow's matchup between Buffalo and Cincinnati. That's a look at sports. We'll be right back.
This half hour, we continue our coverage remembering the great Bill Schonely, the mayor of Rip City, who was affectionately known as the Schnoz. The two Blazer fans passed away earlier today. He was 93 years old. Now, over the years, we've done countless interviews with him. One of the more recent was right before the pandemic. Brenda Braxton took him out for a spin in a series we call KGW Carpool.
Bill Schonely!
Yes, Brenda. I was looking at my watch. You're right on time.
Oh, good. I thought you were looking because I was late. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, buckle up.
Brenda, I can't believe that I'm 90 years of age, but I are, so there you go. I was thinking the other day, I was driving, and thinking about the 50th anniversary. We were going to celebrate a number of times throughout the course of the Blazers season. 50 years. Now that's a long time, but to me, it went like that, a snap of a finger.
What do you make of that? Bill, what is the secret to your success?
A nice glass of wine.
Oh, I like that. I like your style, my friend. I like your style. Yep. I want you to take me back to 1970 when they hired you to be the voice of the Blazers. How did that go down?
Harry Glickman put it all together. He did a marvelous, marvelous job. But when he found out that I was available, Brenda, he called me. And he said in his big bass voice, Shons, how would you like to do NBA basketball? I said, well, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Well, I'll make arrangements. I want you to come down to Portland and we'll talk. I said, okay, Harry. The arrangements were made. I came down, went over to his office, and we talked about 5 or 6 minutes, shook hands, nothing in writing, shook hands, and that was 50 years ago. And the day that they won the championship in June back in 1976, 77, this state erupted. This city went nuts. I was supposed to do a post-game show, and I finally got back into the locker room, and Walton, Lucas, and Dave Twardzik picked me up and threw me in the shower.
No champagne shower. This was the actual shower?
This was the actual shower, yeah. And I was soaking wet. I had champagne all over me, too. So, needless to say, we didn't have a post-game show.
Your fans want to hear you one more time on the mic. Would you do it?
Yes, deep down. When I'm standing there watching games, I do it mentally to this day. I would like to go on and at some point maybe and do a quarter or a part of a game.
So I know that you have been candid about a couple health scares that you had. How are you doing?
I got a pacemaker and all that stuff inside of me, and I'm feeling pretty good. Had a hip operation a year and a half ago on the left side. I'm probably going to have one on the right side. But it's called, Brenda's called OA.
OA?
Old age. That's what it is. And I'm not going to let it beat me, if at all possible.
Not that I'm rushing you, but is that going to be on your tombstone? It's Rip City.
Oh. Somewhere, maybe, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's such a rude question.
Or he missed his last free throw.
No.
That might be on it.
My interview took a very, very grave, oh, no pun intended, turn.
Oh, very good.
Oh my God.
Man, I love that laugh and great memories of Bill Schonely throughout Portland over a course of a 50-year period, if not longer. Well, today, Providence Hospital is also mourning the loss of Bill Schonely and remembering the work he did to help children. Schonely has been working with Providence Child Center and the Center for Medically Fragile Children for more than 25 years. In 1998, Bill received the Providence Heart of Gold Award for his advocacy for the children living in the center. Now, he also served on the board of the Providence Child Center Foundation for more than 20 years. And in 2009, Providence established the Bill's Kids Fund in honor of his 80th birthday. The hospital says Bill helped raise millions of dollars through this fund to support the center. Tonight, we also want to share some of your memories of Schonely. Trevor shared this picture of him with Schonely as he says thank you and calls Schonely a true trailblazer in his own craft. The Sean's legacy will live on forever in Rip City. Viewer Jan sharing her praise for Schonely, saying he was a champion among champions. And David writing that he first saw Schonely on commercials and later learned more about his impact with the Blazers and that he was a local legend. We also had to share this picture of Schonely showing off his NBA ring. Pinwheel Empire writing, thank you for all the memories and joy you brought us over the years. You'll be missed by us all. Portland police are investigating two deadly shootings. One happened late Thursday night and the other happened early Friday morning. They've arrested one person so far who's suspected in the shooting death of a man near Southeast 84th and Taylor. That happened around 2 a.m. Another person was killed a few hours earlier in Northeast Portland along Northeast 42nd and Prescott. There have been no arrests yet in that case. Victims' names have not been released yet either. Now to a call to stop the gun violence. A Portland public school parent is collecting signatures in hopes that it encourages district leaders to put school resource officers back in the classroom. Mike Benner reports.
I have one who graduated Cleveland High School. I have two children at Cleveland High School and one at a middle school in the district.
Kristen Downs will tell you her 4 children are her world. So it should come as no surprise she's been thinking a lot about the recent shootings outside Portland high schools. There were 2 outside Jefferson, 1 outside Cleveland, and another outside the Franklin High School gym, where a large crowd was watching a basketball game.
My kid could have been in the pep band. It was sheer chaos with parents and students fleeing out to the parking lot where the school shooting occurred.
The mere thought of that is too much for Downs, so she's created a change.org petition calling for school resource officers to return to Portland public schools. Downs believes SROs can act as a criminal deterrent and keep communities safe from gun violence, even illicit drugs, not to mention a whole lot more.
SROs work in tandem with counselors, with mental health professionals. They work in tandem with educators, and they forge these positive relationships that police who show up at a scene do not have access to.
All of that goodwill vanished when SROs were kicked out of Portland schools in June 2020. George Floyd had just been killed. Law enforcement was under the microscope. The decision was made to disband the SRO program.
I'm a little frustrated the conversation in the community seems to become very binary about are you going to have school resource officers or not.
That's Portland Public School Board Chair Andrew Scott addressing the topic of SROs just last week. We know the district is tossing around the idea of bringing them back, although any final decision does not appear to be imminent. Chances are their reservations mirror those of ACLU of Oregon Executive Director Sandy Chung. In the wake of the shooting outside Franklin High, Chung told KGW she thinks too many students, specifically black students, are suspended, expelled, or arrested when SROs are in the picture.
If they're not going to effectively prevent gun violence, but instead have these incredibly adverse impacts on students of color and students with disabilities, why would the school be even looking at this?
Why? Kristen Downs says to keep school communities safe. In her opinion, there's nothing more important than that. And that explains her motivation for the change.org petition, signed by more than 250 people as of late Thursday afternoon.
We need to have our voices heard. Together we cannot be ignored, and it's going to take all of our voices for the PPS superintendent and administrators and school board to enact change. We need school resource officers.
We'll be posting a link to the change.org petition on our website, kgw.com, so head there if you want to read it or sign it. Reporting from outside district headquarters in North Portland, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Well, the Northwest is bracing for more king tides this weekend. Up in Seattle, they're busy getting ready in the South Park neighborhood, which saw major flooding from king tides several weeks ago. The city is making long-term plans, hoping to prevent flooding in the area. But for now, there are around 90,000 sandbags in the neighborhood. There are still about a dozen people who can't go back to their homes, and many businesses are still trying to assess damage from the flooding back in December.
I don't know what we're going to do with it. I don't even know. We're letting it dry out, running fans and some heat in there to let things dry out.
The city says it's preparing for more future flooding in this area as sea levels continue to rise. Now to the impact on the Oregon coast and the dilemma cities here have. Here's a live look at our Cannon Beach sky camera over along the northern Oregon coast, where king tides started to hit Friday and are expected to last until tomorrow. As our Blair Best found out, those tides are forcing homeless people to pack up and move. Tonight we visit homeless camps in Seaside. Many of them are in the lower part of town.
Life on the streets is defined by the weather.
When you get wet and cold and there's no warming up.
Especially in Seaside, a coastal town known for heavy rainstorms and extreme tides.
And that's where it'll be coming from, because this water goes up and down every day anyways with the tides.
Robert lives in a tent at Seaside's Mill Ponds homeless camp. He's referring to the 11-foot swells or king tides expected to hit that area this weekend.
I've been lucky this time because the water hasn't made it into the tent yet.
Recent rainstorms have caused large puddles to form around his tent, but the king tides pose a greater, more dangerous threat. Those living at this site tell us it's common for tents that aren't moved to float away during extreme tides. The head of a local nonprofit tells us a disabled homeless man was once washed into the river while inside his tent. This year, there is a more proactive approach.
They are asked to move and go to a higher ground, but unfortunately, there's not that many places to go.
Susan Ray is a nurse and outreach worker who helps homeless people in Seaside.
Well, the camps have to pick up their whole entire homes, all of their belongings, everything that they have, and move it to a different area. A lot of things get soaked during the process.
It's just another element Seaside's homeless have to navigate.
Yep, you got to pick everything up and move from here to over there, and then a couple months later they might let you back over here.
It takes time to put up the tent and take it down, and it just takes up your whole day.
They lose a lot of their life every time it storms.
In Seaside, Blair Best, KGW News.
Coming up, we're going on a treasure hunt.
So let's see what we find on down this way.
In just 2 minutes, we're heading to the Oregon coast, where you can go to find agates in all different colors.
And I'm Daisy Caballero. We have a lot to talk about. For your weather headlines, we're expecting to see some spotty showers for tomorrow. We also have 2 different advisories to talk about in my full forecast.
Expert. Yeah, he's going, and tonight he's along with an expert who's going to take us to the Oregon coast and show us how to find little rocky It's time to go on a treasure hunt this afternoon with Grant McComey. Tonight, he's along with an expert who's going to take us to the Oregon coast and show us how to find little rocky nuggets from tides called agates.
As the wintertime surf floods and ebbs, beachcombers wander, seeking secrets from the tides.
So let's see what we find on down this way.
But Kay Myers insists the best beach adventures begin down the long staircase at the Moolac Beach Motel, where it doesn't take long and you don't go far.
Most newcomers usually go down by the water line because they know it's freshly agitated and they can find stuff that's fresh. They don't realize that there's stuff up here.
The stuff that Myers searches for
Nice piece.
includes colorful agates and jaspers, plus fossils that reach back millions of years.
Oh, you found one full of fossils? Yeah.
This quite old?
Yes. These are the ones that are 15 to 20 million years old. We generally think it's from this area because we have so much of it in the hillside.
While the fossils are fun,
Here we go.
it's the rocks that get the twice over.
And it looks like there's an agate right under that rock.
Agates are small rocky nuggets of silica that formed inside ancient rocks or shells.
Yeah, there's something.
And across millions of years, the outer layer wears away and the agate remains. Agates come in varied colors ranging from orange to red or pink to lavender, even black.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Red jasper.
You've got red jasper with some gold on it. That's a pretty fancy one. That'll polish up really well.
Myers has been co-owner of Facets Gem and Mineral Gallery in Newport since '87, where you can see the stunning possibilities after polishing your agate treasures.
It enhances it, just makes it smooth, finishes it out. The nature has done a good job of rounding it off, but polishing it brings it to a high luster. And you can make it into jewelry or whatever you want to with it.
Myers knows much about where to go and when to be there rock hounding along the coast. She's even written a couple of popular booklets on Oregon's fascinating geology that'll set you on the right track.
It's relaxing, it's fun. I enjoy doing it. You know, ever since first grade show and tell, I've been interested and I haven't lost that zest for it yet. It's always such a treasure to see something new. So we're trying to help everyone, you know, enjoy all that Oregon has to offer.
Along the beaches of Lincoln County with photographer Jeff Kastner, Grant McComey, KGW.
You can watch more Grant's Getaways on his half-hour program. The next show airs tomorrow afternoon right here on KGW. We'll be right back.
Was the best place for me to start my managerial career.
This is a fantastic story here. A woman is making history in Hillsborough. Ronnie Getaways will manage the Hillsborough Hops. Now, this is a big deal for Getaways. She'll become the first woman to manage a high A level. Getaways has long history with the sport. In 2022, she was a minor league coach in the Diamondbacks minor league system. And in 2015, she won a gold medal in the Pan American Games while she was part of Team USA's women's baseball team. Now, she says managing the Hops is life-changing for her, and she has others to thank for this big accomplishment.
To be able to be that first, there was a lot of work that had to be put in from my end, from my coworkers, and from my bosses, from my family and my friends.
And when it comes to the next steps, she says getting an opportunity like this is something she didn't think would be possible, especially at this point in her career. So for now, she's focusing on being happy. It's going to be exciting to see her in the dugout come this spring. But as we switch gears and talk about the weather, you've been talking about the kind of, I wouldn't say stormy conditions in terms of weather along the coast, but definitely out in the sea with the king tides.
Absolutely. Yeah, Joe. And if you're planning to go out to the coast, be very, very careful because, yes, sneaker waves are definitely going to be a possibility. We'll talk more about that in just a second, but taking a live look outside, 46 degrees here in the Portland metro area. Winds are actually starting to pick up. We're dealing with south winds at right around 11 miles an hour right now. Rest of our current temperatures, take a look here. We're seeing those 30s in Forest Grove, Happy Valley. The rest of us are in those 40s. But we are dealing with 20 degrees as we're looking over into the eastern portion of our state, including Baker City and Burns as well. Now, comparing these conditions to what we were experiencing 24 hours ago, take a look at this. 16 degrees warmer for Burns, 6 degrees warmer as we're looking at the Portland metro, and around 5 degrees warmer as we're looking over into the Newport area. So like I said, 2 advisories that the National Weather Service has issued. One of them is like we are reading right here, a winter weather advisory along the Cascades. This is already in effect and will last until tomorrow morning, right around 4 o'clock. So again, be very, very mindful if you're planning to travel in or out of that area. Throughout this advisory, we're expecting to see anywhere between 4 to 9 inches of snow above 3,000 feet, and those wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour. This is the rest of those gusty conditions. Just take a look. Within the next few hours, 30 mile per hour winds over in Astoria, but that's not it. Again, everywhere really, and this will last all the way into the evening hours, morning hours for tomorrow as well. But for the second half of Sunday, those winds will really start to die down for the most part. Looking live at our satellite and radar, this is that system that brought in rain, graupel, and then snow for others in our area. And again, this was my first time actually talking and kind of learning about graupel, so it was very, very interesting. But looking at what we can expect for these next few hours for the rest of tonight, potential for some more passing showers, also some mountain snow into those higher elevations. After that, we're maybe going to see some spotty showers for our early morning hours for tomorrow. After that, we'll just be stuck with a little bit more of that cloud coverage and then more intense cloud coverage as we're kicking off our work week for Monday. Highs for today, we are looking at 47 degrees for Portland, 45 degrees for the high for Hillsborough, 50s along the coast in Newport and Florence as well. But looking at 30-degree high as we're looking over in the Burns area. Again, if you're planning to go to the coast, be very mindful. Those sneaker wave advisory lasting all the way until the afternoon hours for tomorrow and over into the switching all the way into, to that 7-day forecast right here. We are expecting to see spotty showers once again. After that, we'll be somewhat under a dry spell all the way into next weekend. We'll be right back.
Before we go tonight, let's talk about Bill Schonely once again and the impact he made on fans. Andrew, writing on social media today, you made growing up a Blazer fan a magical. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Deb wrote this, saying that she worked at arena games during the Blazers, her career there, and he was the nicest, most upbeat, positive, and gracious person. Finally, tonight, I also want to share about my time with Schonely. Here's a picture of us together. Schonely was a Hall of Fame broadcaster and an inspiration to many. I grew up listening to him on the radio and, of course, watching him on TV. Schonely was also always willing to take pictures with fans like myself. And again, I just want to send our condolences to his family and friends. We'll see you back at 11.